I could tell you about Ehab Amin, whose first phone call was to his parents 9 hours away in Alexandria, Egypt, a grad transfer who came here specifically to come to the NCAA tournament. I could tell you about Peyton Pritchard, who spent his senior year winning a 6A state title at West Lynn, who's been in this place before, went to a Final Four his freshman year, dealt with the frustration of this season, and calls this particular moment one of the highlights of his career. For 24 seasons, head coach Pat Casey has stepped out of this dugout here and onto Goss Stadium, but now no more. Although the way he ended his career was about as tidy as can be. The elimination game to win his third national championship, his 900th career win. That was making the rounds on social media. I asked Mo Harkless about it after the game. He laughed and said, "This picture right here pretty much is Dame in a nutshell." To show you just how much this all means to all of these players, the most reserved, shy kind of guy on the team, Justin Herbert, reduced to tears, saying, "I can't believe it is coming to an end." And it all will here on New Year's Day. It just means something more in the granddaddy of them all. That is completely dissolved into thin air. You think about the unfinished business that Sabrina Ionescu talks so much about. You think about Michaela Pivic and what she has been, what she has represented to the Oregon State program. You think about whether or not we would have seen another dazzling March out of Peyton Pritchard with Oregon men's basketball, and whether or not that Dana Altman voodoo magic that he has in March would have reared its head yet again. The first 4 overtime NBA playoff game in the shot clock era. The last time this ever happened was in 1953. It was between the Boston Celtics and the Syracuse Nationals. The Timbers Army sings "You Are My Sunshine," and tonight they were able to provide Gio with some rays of light when skies were gray. Doing like the MTV Cribs version of it, and oh my goodness, Duck fans, you're gonna need to avert your eyes. Put it down. Oh, that's cold-blooded. As of right now, the Big 12 and Big 10 have followed the NCAA's lead. Their conference tournaments this week are going to be going with no fans and the same stipulations that the NCAA has put forward for their tournaments. So for the Pac-12, they have to make a decision, whether that be tonight or tomorrow before the next set of games start, if they are going to follow suit as well. The result when you put a hapless sports director in front? Okay. Pretty close. Not so great, but eventually muscle memory did take over.
The face.
The big question, though, after week 1 for Oregon State and all the way through this week was about something that we talked about quite extensively on College Football Game Night last week. It was about that third down defense for Oregon State and getting the team that they are playing off of the field. My dad was a U of O alum. That made me a Duck fan growing up. And here is the man, the myth, the legend, my father. Dad, the last time Oregon played Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl, you guys opted to not bring me. You can't get rid of me this time, so I have to ask, what does it mean for the Ducks to be back here in this game?
It means everything to come back to the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, with my son. I never would have thought.
Head coach Jonathan Smith, he's built this team the way his old head coach Dennis Erickson did, utilizing transfers and junior college players to accelerate his rebuild. And these guys, 1, 2, or 3 of them, committing to this program would mean that Oregon State is certainly ahead of schedule.
9 Sports with Andrew Haubner.
Sports is worth nothing. Sports is worth everything. We all might have known that before all this happened, but never has it been more apparent than it is right now. We feel the loss, for many of us, like we would losing something as vital as a friend or a piece of innocence that we clung so tightly to. Athletes around the country feel this even more than fans or those of us that have the luck and privilege to make our livelihoods talking about it. In these moments of grief, we turn to memories, the one thing powerful enough to take moments of emptiness and replace them with joy, to do what our moms told us to do, right? Simply turn a frown upside down. We hope to accomplish that with this senior series. Growing up, fall Saturdays were for the Ducks. Even a couple thousand miles away in New York, Saturdays were and still are for my father and I. When I left home and went to Colorado and then Wyoming and then Oregon, we'd convene on the phone on Sunday and talk football. And when I told them I'd be reporting on the Beavers too, OSU was folded into that discussion. It's going to be a strange fall not having that, but here we are. in the strangest of times. The Pac-12 decision to postpone all athletic competition in the 2020 year came shortly after the decision from the Big Ten. Opening things up as Sheldon's already up 21-0. He makes it 27-0. South Medford just looking for an opportunity somewhere on our game of the week to make something work. Torrin Tuttle hits Austin Boster in stride for the long score. It's his 19th touchdown of the season. But Griffin Line, he's got his own move. Little pump fake, Carter Newman in the corner. Like the Undertaker coming up from the coffin. Sheldon's doing the same with their season after starting 0-3. They've won 3 of their last 4. It's a taxing profession. From the players to the support staff to the coaches to their families. We don't take a lot of that stuff into account. I'm just curious on what your thoughts were about Chris Peterson retiring and saying for the sake of his mental health, he needs a bit of a break. It's on the play calling. Some are saying it's on the execution. I personally think it's a little bit of both. What do you think?
Feel me?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Look, we got to do more than that,
week 2
right?
of the philosophy. Man, it's awesome. So what we got right now, what Control is telling me, we have Jonathan Smith live in the post-game press conference. Control, can we take that? This felt at times like that Week 1 Auburn game, especially when Utah was starting to come back in the third. But a game like this, when you close out Utah, it shows you have learned something between Week 1 and Week 13. What have the Ducks learned?
Well, I think
Gentlemen, Oregon doesn't seem to be the only hot team in the state anymore. I can't believe we were
Oh,
saying that like 3 weeks ago. That was not
Oh,
a
my
conversation.
goodness. You win a game,
you win a game, and also you want to compare him to the Ducks.
We've got a lot of time here before we go, so don't go anywhere. I am, because I have a surprise for you. So hang on. We're going somewhere because, one, I don't know
I
about
like
you,
it.
but I think it smells like roses. As a former Oregon fullback, I think you would be happiest having that because Ducks are going to Pasadena, baby. This has been a lot of fun, man. We hope you have had fun with us as well. We got one more left, and then we'll see you next year. Go Ducks, go Beavs. Have a great evening. We'll see you at 11 o'clock.